I mean, honestly, we in the stadium, I mean, there was a great atmosphere in the stadium, but I don't think the home fans could believe how easy it was. I mean, I went into the mix zone after the game. Obviously, Andy was interviewing Russell Martin at the press conference, and I was down at the mix zone trying to get reaction for a couple of the players. And a couple of the Brugge players came in to get interviewed, obviously, by the Belgian media. And I heard one guy saying to Stankovic, who scored one of the goals, his first question was, so Alexander, I bet you didn't think you'd have a friendly game to play in for the Champions League playoff tie. And it was quite cocky and a bit insulting, but it was kind of hard to argue. I mean, it was so easy for them from pretty much from the get-go. The players need to take huge responsibility. I think, listen, we talk about Russell Martin, and of course he has to take massive responsibility. But I think other people at the club, Kevin Thelwell, sporting director, who's behind a lot of these signings, guys who don't look up to it, don't look good enough to play for Rangers or mentally strong enough to play for Rangers, he has to take a huge chunk of responsibility as well. I think last night, just collectively, in terms of the whole club, it was an absolute embarrassment. And listen, people, players and the manager himself has said that unforgivable. In terms of the setup, in terms of the tactics, once they went a goal, 2 goals behind, I thought was really strange, really bizarre. And probably the worst thing, Daniel, and it's no often you label this against players, but that first half, just a lack of effort. I mean, right for the first, you look at the first goal, for instance, which obviously sets the tone. I mean, Antman no tracking his runner after less than 5 minutes in the right flank and just allowing Bruce to get in. Obviously, Giga loses his man in the middle, who comes in and scores with a header. But that, maybe I'm being harsh on Antman. I mean, he's a new player. He's relatively young. Actually started off really well, obviously, when he came in for the Pilsen first leg, where he was brilliant. But honestly, within 5 minutes, surely Russell Martin's message must have been, keep it tight early on, stay compact, keep yourself in the tie, stay with your man. The Rangers pretty much went man for man from kick-off last night, and Antman just casually lets his man drift off him, and they get the first goal, and then it all unravels for then on in. It was incredible. We couldn't believe what we were watching. It was so bad.
That's where I've got a wee bit of sympathy for Martin Scott, in the sense that, you can talk about your philosophies and all the buzzwords you want, your style of play. If players aren't doing the basics, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to get beat. But having said that, obviously he chooses the players, he signed the players. And I mentioned to you before we come on air, I was really surprised last night to see Tavernier, Raskin, who was the other one? Diamandis, that's right, all on the bench, because they're guys that have been there and done it in Europe for Rangers. You threw in Dessers as well. I mean, he's asking for trouble doing that.
No, I think you're right. When we turned up at the stadium last night and seen the team, we looked at the midfield and just thought, a midfielder, Joe Rothwell, who's bang off for him. Lyle Cameron, who's actually did okay for Rangers so far. I certainly wouldn't accuse him of lack of effort. And Tilo Asgard. But Cameron and Asgard are attack-minded players, and I get Rangers had to get into the game and go and score a goal, go and try and win it, to try and get through. But you just looked at that midfield and thought,
wide open.
It's a bit lightweight. It's a bit open. It's a bit attacking. Guys that, as I say, Asgard coming in. He's only started a couple of games. Rothwell, who's been a major disappointment so far. You just feared that the midfield would go overrun. I mean, that's where Brugge are really strong. When you think of Van Aken, the captain, and people like that, so strong in there. And that's the way it went. And tactically, I just think, I mean, we were on the flight back today with Ali McCoist, who was obviously covering it for TNT, and we agreed that Rangers teams in the past, once you go 1 down and down to 10 men, or even 2 down, I mean, the tie's gone. At 4-1 and 5-1, the tie's gone. So at that point, to maintain a bit of pride and kind of reputation, you just get compact. You pull guys in, you go kind of 4-4-1, whatever it might be, 5-4-0 as they went in the kind of second half. You just try and get out of there, with your reputation intact, even if it is a 2-0 defeat, because after the game you can then talk about the red card. There's been a pivotal moment in the game and the tie getting away from you. But it was the capitulation, it was the collapse, it was the way Rangers approached it. Once they went 1 goal, 2 goals down. And honestly, I mean, if it wasn't for Jack Butland, that first half, mate, I mean, it was 5-0. Bruges have hit the bar twice. I think Butland's pulled off 2 or 3 top saves in that first half. You're talking Rangers could have been 8-0 down in one half of football. And with all due respect to Club Brugge, it's not Real Madrid or PSG.
Scott, they're not even the Belgian champions.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, what I spoke to one Rangers fan last night. He said it was genuine. It was like watching a pub team go up against Real Madrid.
It was
that bad. The gap. You think even wee moments like Van Aken's chance in the second half where he's in the box, he's almost toying with Rangers.
There's 9 players around them.
I twisted and turned like 2 or 3 times. He feigned to shoot, and then they ended up kind of squandering the chance, but weren't too bothered about it because it didn't matter by that stage. That's where the real embarrassment comes in. And as you say, there's no excuse for it because there's still the crux of a squad there. Butland, Tavernier, Suter, Raskin, Diomande, Dessers. These guys have gone away to Europe before and produced big results. I mean, it's only a matter of months ago they went to Fenerbahce and won 3-1 against Mourinho's team. Got a draw with 10 men at home to Bilbao and kept themselves in a tie the Europa quarter-finals. So there's just no excuse for it. And Russell Martin knows that. And listen, it goes without saying he's under major pressure. We learned today that the club are backing him for now. He'll be in charge for the game on Sunday. What the atmosphere is going to be like on Sunday, we're at home crowd. I mean, aside from anything else, somebody was telling me today there's still plenty of tickets left for the home end of
that's crazy,
which is unheard of for an Old Firm game. That tells its own story. And look, he has to win the game. He has to win the game. It's as simple as that. And if he doesn't, I think there's almost it sounds ridiculous we're even talking about it because it's so early in the season. But if you're going to sack a manager early or admit that it's not happening and it's not going well, it's just not right, I think almost this weekend is like the cut-off point, if that makes any sense, because it's
international break.
It's the end of the transfer window on Monday. The first Old Firm game of the season has been, which is always a barometer, and you then know what the gap is, if there is a gap between the clubs. And as you say, the international break gives the board and the hierarchy at Rangers a bit of breathing space to really take a step back and say, right, look, what's going on here? What's went wrong? What has to change? So I think this weekend is going to be key, both in terms of the result and then what happens after that in terms of Kevin Thelwell, Patrick Stewart, and obviously the American owners who, up until now, since they came into power at Rangers, have been pretty silent. We've not heard again from Andrew Kavanagh or Parag Marathi. I think now certainly after the game on Sunday, they have to speak up. You need to hear from Andrew Kavanagh as chairman, I think, to talk about Russell Martin, talk about where the club's at, talk about how they feel about the start they've made.